Reports. Superintendent, Ms. Drescher.
Okay, thank you. I guess I just want to start this evening by just sending condolences and positive thoughts to Donna and the McKeithen family. Few of us can imagine what they're going through. Danny was a true friend of our schools, and he took his role as protector very seriously. And I personally took a great deal of comfort in working with Danny over the years, whether it was the middle of the afternoon or the middle of the night. I could always depend on sound judgment and support as we worked through a threat or a problem involving law enforcement in our schools, and he will be sorely missed. On a little happier note, congratulations to Skyline High School and Warren County High School graduates. We had a beautiful Saturday morning, and both schools did a wonderful job celebrating this milestone of about 400 young people's lives. So it was very neat, and I hope those of you in the audience with those young people have recovered. So there's a lot of celebration. We just also celebrated right before this meeting our retirees this year, and just again like to congratulate that group of 9 people who committed, I think, what did I say, 185 years of service in Warren County. And we always hate to lose that longevity, but we also like to celebrate the fact that they can now move on and do some other things too. So that was pretty neat. A couple of construction notes. On Monday, you will see Shockey working on installing a sanitary sewer line along the property in front of Warren County Middle School. So you'll see that over the next month. It will take about that long to complete. The school board agreed to this work sometime back with the understanding that it would be done when school was not in session. So that's what you'll start seeing on Monday. I did inform the board earlier of this. The bids for AS Roads came back, unfortunately, well over budget. We're being told that the suggested work schedule was the primary driver of the increased cost. And the schedule that we had asked for some evening work and weekend work at times. And that was in order to have the least amount of disruption to the school itself. And this was not unlike we just did it at Ressie Jeffries. We had done it at E. Wilson years ago. So we were really surprised by the cost difference and what the one bid told us. Basically, the economy is better. Nobody's looking for work. And so anything that was out of the ordinary, like the schedule we were asking, caused the prices to go up. We're moving forward with bidding out the shingle portion of the roof because that's something that we need to get done right away, and we'll complete that as soon as we can. We're also exploring a schedule option that would give a contractor more access to the building. And we're told if we can do this, we can dramatically shorten the construction time itself and reduce the cost. So we don't have any of the kinks worked out yet at all, but what we're thinking at this point in time, with one day to work on it, to rebid sometime in the fall, September, with the idea if we can do that and move forward and with a positive result there, we could still be done by the fall of 2020. So the timeline may not be that far off if we can figure out how to let more of the building be there. So that's all. Have any questions on that? No. Then the final thing, just in terms of turnover, Buck's here. I may just ask him just to say a word or two about where we're standing with turnover. Thank you, Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Drescher. Currently, as far as with professional staff, and those would be staff members who hold a license that's issued by a VDOE or a position within our division that requires a license that would be issued by other state agencies. We have 43 resignations or retirements, and you can see that, as Mr. Drescher mentioned, there's many years of service that was in our group earlier here this evening, but it was a small group as far as in numbers. 43 is much better than where we were a year or so ago, or a year or so ago before that year. So I feel good about that. We've been able to fill 28 of those positions. So we're continuing to look. Earlier this evening, I've been sending out additional applications and resumes and those type of things to our principals and our assistant principals. So that's where we are currently. the challenging positions will be, just as in any school division, the hard to fill with your science and math and those particular areas. But we're hammering away at some of those positions, so we'll figure out a way before it's all said and done to get everything filled, and we're in that process now. So I feel good about where we're at compared to where we have been. Obviously, the increase and the push by Mr. Drescher and yourself, that helped to sustain some of the instability of people moving around and those type of things. We obviously have a long way to go, but we're working to get there. So I don't know if you have any questions, perhaps for me, in regards to hiring.
Do you have any breakdown yet, Mr. Smith, on years of experience that we're losing?
I don't have it compiled at this time, Mr. Wells. I will. Most likely, I'm keeping some of that. I'm not seeing that 11 to 25 range leaving as much by any means. What you were able to do to kind of solidify that area is helping. And we'll see, actually, we'll see how that effect comes more as the years go along. So I think that's helpful. What I'll do at the end of the summer, I will have a report that will have who we lost as far as in positions and years of experience, and even where they went. I keep that information. I also have all of our exit interviews that I keep there on file. I'm going to do a report on that as well, looking at the reasons why people are saying that they're leaving. We're going to have turnover regardless of what we do. Some is just by our location and our proximity to Washington and to Northern Virginia, and for spouses to have positions that require them to transfer. So we're experiencing some of that, but I'll have that information for you, but I'm not really seeing that 11 through 25 years of experience as we had in the past, because I think of what you were able to do has really helped with sustaining that. And I also think that just with the staff in general, seeing the commitment and seeing people being assertive to go out to try to help with salaries and those type of things, that's extremely beneficial, because that's good for morale and for people to say, if I have a fighting chance somewhere, I'll stay on the team, and then one day we'll win a championship. But if I don't see the effort, then I may just switch ball clubs. So they're staying on the team, so that's good.
Of the 28 new positions that have been filled, are they mostly new teachers right out of college, or do you have a feel for that?
Yeah, mainly. We've tried to do, budget-wise, everyone's set on some type of a limitation of what you can afford. As far as, we've tried to mix it up a little bit. We have some schools who they need some experience. And we've tried to be able to add a little bit of that in there. But mainly, Ms. Bauer, I would say that the majority of them are from 0 to 5 years of experience. But we're starting to mix some of the more 10-year and 12-year type schools, because some of them they need that. What that 11 through 25, to me, that group that we would lose, one of the things, obviously, they have experience in those type of things, and we don't want to lose that. But at the same time, they are our mentors for 0 through 10. And when you have a bunch of 0 through 10s, it's like having a bunch of little rabbits around when you don't have mama rabbit around. They don't know how to do certain things. They're trying, they're putting out effort, but they just need someone there to coach them. So we've been able to hold that group pretty well this year, so I'm pleased with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just like to point out that last analogy was not about sports.
Well, I was going to say something. He's on to wildlife now. So he's
I went camping last week.
He's expanding.
That is all I have.
Thank you. School board reports. Mr. Williams.
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to echo Mr. Drescher's comments. McKeith and family, please keep them in your prayers. Our community, keep them in your prayers. Skyline and Warren County graduations I thought were very nice. I mean, just rolled right on through and very interesting. I was able to go to A.S. Rhodes today for their little award ceremony and to see the 5th grade graduation. Unfortunately, had to get here so I didn't see it all, but that's okay. That's just part of it. I know it'll end well. I had a local business owner call me today, and forgive me, I gotta get my phone out to get what he told me, because I wrote it down, I knew I'd forget. Exactly, he was looking for something he could do to help the school system, kind of like some type of fundraiser, and his idea was have a fire truck at his shop, his office, and fill the fire truck with school supplies. And he said, what do you think? I said, I'll run it past everybody. I like the idea myself. And he said, just divvy them up, whatever, amongst however. So I don't know how we can make something like that work, but I thought that was very nice to get somebody just out of the blue call you and go, hey, let's do something for the schools. And I thought that was good. So anyway, we can come up with a way or how, and I guess we'd have to contact the fire department too, Chief Navy.
Get together the list of the appropriate school supplies.
Of what they really need and get it out there, but I thought that was pretty nice. I'm sure we'll come up with something.
One good thing about living in a small community.
Absolutely. Your phone will ring and you'll get some good ideas and that makes it good. But other than that, it's hard to believe tomorrow's the last day of school and here we go summertime. And Buck, it sounds like you've got everything under control as far as the hiring process. Sounds like you don't seem like your feet are on fire like they were last year. Let's put it that way. You're all red in the face and you're wondering what you're going to do. Yeah. So that's a good thing. That's all I have, man.
Thank you. Mr. Rosen?
Yeah, well, can't say enough that something maybe should never have happened. Really shaking me. I can't seem to get the family out of it. But anyway, I want to thank, as a board member, all of the executive staff and as well as the faculty for a successful year and one that I think you all should be very, very proud of because they seem to be getting better every year. And after the first year, I will still be watching, and there are some candidates being looked at that I think would be helpful to the board. Let's look for the next one. I'm a little disappointed with the A.S. Rhodes dollars, but it's just something we'll work through. We've worked through them before. I'm sure we'll work through them again. So thanks to y'all.
Thank you. Mr. Wells?
I'll echo the thoughts and prayers to Keith and family, to Donna, and hope she comes back to us stronger and ready to work. I'll echo congratulations to all the graduates and thanks to all the staff for everything they've done this year. It's been as Mr. Rosen says, it's been a great year. And I haven't had the opportunity to publicly say thank you to the Board of Supervisors and to the citizens for the budget that we received and the ability that we've given to give our staff a raise and to keep the salaries as competitive as they are. And then one last thing, I saw a great article in the paper about some seniors that were getting ready to graduate that went back to LFK and went back to see one of their favorite folks, Miss Helen. And that's not a bad idea for anybody out there, whether you're a senior, whether you're a graduate. One of the few benefits or perks that a teacher gets is finding out what seeds they've sowed in society. And so whatever you're doing, let your teachers and those who helped you along, let them know how you're doing. And if you can let them know what part they played in your success, it's better than any salary we can get. So that's just a thought or a challenge to everybody out there. There's has to have been a teacher somewhere in your life that helped you out.
It's true, thank you. Graduation was great. I didn't get much of a sunburn, a little bit on my face, a little bit on my neck, but that's okay. I don't know what the principals told their students, but they were very well behaved. They must have lit a fire somewhere, because in past years, they've been throwing beat balls early and multiple times, and I think it started a little bit at Warren County this year, and Mrs. Jordan put a screeching halt to that real quickly, and they behaved, and it was really, really nice. Congratulations to Warren County and Skyline Girls Softball Team. They're both going to be going to state this coming Friday and Saturday down in Radford, and I was hoping to get down there. I have a sister who lives in Radford, and I thought I'd go down there, and I have a wedding to go to. So, but we'll be checking the scores on those. Last week I went to Ressie Jeffries to listen to the Sons of the American Revolution do their little plaque presentation and little history lesson, and it was quite informative. I learned a little bit about the history of this county and Joseph Warren, and it was a little gory, but quite interesting. And I think that's about all I have. So thank you. Action agenda. Approval of Victims of Crime Act, VOCA grant. Mr. Hirsch.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Superintendent. Well, I have a great opportunity tonight to talk about an opportunity for Warren County Public Schools to continue to serve students. But this isn't done in isolation. We have been, along with our brother and sister agencies, the Community Services Board, the Warren Coalition, the Department of Social Services, the Court Services Unit, have been addressing trauma and the effects of trauma on students for quite some time. Well over 5 years. And we know that the symptoms of trauma and those things that the acting out and those kinds of negative aspects of student behavior are part of trauma and directly related to trauma. So we've been doing many, many things to address that. I'd like to talk quickly before I talk about the Victims of Crime Act, just about a couple things that we are doing this summer to address trauma. In partnering with the Educational Endowment, we're offering youth mental health first aid for about 100 teachers, a couple less. And all those teachers will be trained in learning how to identify some of those risk factors so they can get the students the help that they need and get them to the mental health professionals to help support them. In addition to that, in partnering with the Warren Coalition, we're offering the 5th Annual Mental Health and Substance Abuse Conference. Just some of the sessions, and it'll really ring true when I talk about the grant, is recognizing trauma signs in the classroom, how to help traumatized children be ready to learn, long-term impacts of trauma, coping strategies for adults with trauma histories who work with children experiencing trauma, and many other work sessions. So we'll be offering that to well over 100 teachers in Warren County and opening it up to the region. And we'll be offering that conference in Fairfax Community College. As well as last year, the superintendent and all of you had the wisdom and the vision to support us with a social, emotional, behavioral coach to offer mindfulness throughout our division. And that position alone has created so much awareness and has done students so much good that we're continuing that effort. So we are continuously trying to target resources that we don't have. So the superintendent's memo came out with the opportunity to apply for a Victims of Crime grant, which targets students experiencing trauma. We call our effort Project Courage, and we'll work with providing coping mechanisms to deal with healthy ways to address anxiety, depression, and anger, utilizing evidence-based programs. The curriculum that we use is called COPE, Creating Opportunities for Personal Empowerment. COPE uses cognitive behavioral therapy techniques so the child feels in control of their responses. In addition, each child that we identify will receive a mentor. And we have, if approved by the board, we're employing a mentoring service through a Winchester firm called I'm Just Me. And each student that we identify will have a trained mentor to help instill self-esteem, hope, and and confidence so the child believes that they can be successful. At the same time, a full-time behavioral health coach will be hired. This behavioral health coach will work with the students to create a behavior plan that'll be shared with teachers, be closely monitored, and students' classrooms will be observed for trauma triggers, and suggestions will be made to try and prevent what the student perceives as an unsafe and threatening environment. Our environments are not unsafe. Our environments are not threatening. However, victims of trauma sometimes feel that they are. Parents and guardians will be offered a parenting support group so they can be better able to support their child. And lastly, in an effort to make sure all potential eligible students are identified, all teachers will be trained in identifying behaviors that may be triggered by trauma, and in the ACEs interface training that explains how trauma impacts individuals and what can be done. We are targeting Warren County Middle School, Skyline Middle School, and all of our non-traditional programs. In providing these above supports, Warren County Public Schools will address the number of discipline referrals by helping children be better able to control their responses to triggers, increase attendance rates by helping children be less anxious and feeling more connected to school, because the mentors as well as mobile personnel are providing support to make them more connected to school and feel valued as an individual, and most importantly, reduce the flight or fight response in each student by giving them ways to self-regulate. That is a big goal. We're encouraged, pending your approval, we will be having this support for 2 years at the amount of $200,000 per year. Do you have any questions?
I just think this is great. I'm excited about this. I see so many children in our, everywhere, but in our school system that deal with emotional issues and disciplinary issues, and until you can get to the basis of their trauma, they can't move forward. And if you don't get to that, they grow up to be adults that are still struggling with issues. So I'm excited about this.
I do have one question. I think it's a great idea. I applaud for going out and going after it. What's the additional appropriation? You just saying we need to accept it, or do we have to match anything for the grant?
There is some in-kind, and the in-kind is all provided by stuff that we're already doing. There'll be no additional cost to Warren County Schools, and all of those dollars will be available for 2 years, and we will build capacity within our division and target other dollars to continue it.
I'm sure you will, Mr. Hirsch.
This conference that is being offered to around 100 teachers, how long is that conference? Is it a day conference?
It is all day, but you don't have to stay the whole time. But if you would love to go, I will make sure that you get a ticket.
I'd love to go.
And it's a real great opportunity because we give our vendors that we work with an opportunity to set their tables up and show their wares and really interact with all the teachers. And we provide breakfast and lunch at the Lord Fairfax campus. It really turns it into it's always vibrant, but it turns it into a real conference atmosphere. And I tell you, it's the 5th annual, and it's just like any national conference we go to. And we're flying speakers in from California, from Denver.
Do you know when that's
I'm sorry?
Do you know when that is going to be?
Yes.
The date?
Thursday, August 8th, all day long, at the Carl and Emily Thompson Community Center at the Lord Fairfax campus. And all of you are welcome. I'll make sure that I give the superintendent tickets.
That's great, thank you. Is there a motion? Or any more discussion or questions?
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair. I move that the VOCA grant from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services be approved for implementation.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. Approval of renewal of maintenance service contracts for 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Livesey.
Who dropped something here. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm here this evening to request your approval for annual service agreement increases for the necessary contracts that help support our school buildings. As we discussed at the May work session, these contracts are renewed on an annual basis. Typically, they are based initial period of performance is 1 year with 4 one-year renewals. This is the last renewal year or option for these contracts. So unless there's an existing agreement out there or state agreement that we can ride, and these contracts will be recompeted next year. We'll all have to go out for recompetition. So all the price increases requested by those vendors are well, we have reviewed them, they're well within the CPI adjustment, annual CPI adjustment index for their trades or their industry. We did have a question at the work session with regard to increases for the Warren County Middle School elevators as they come online to us October this year, once the construction warranty expires. We did reach out to the actual factory to see how their quotes cost would compare to our current provider. They were a little bit higher on an annual basis, not by much. I was surprised, to be honest, only about $600 a year more, but theirs was also inclusive of all necessary components and or replacement parts, just as our current vendor is. So sometimes, you know, the vendors are way out of line. This one wasn't, but I would still recommend we keep our current provider, Landmark Elevator, for that, for this last renewal year. So, any questions?
Just a comment, on the price on those elevators, Mr. Livesey had an answer for me the following day. And it truly is amazing that we can almost get it at the same price to an outside vendor than the person who actually installed it. So it was a learning experience,
Yeah.
at least for this group up here. I can't say for you, you know the ins and outs of all that. So it's one of those things, it's gonna cost what it costs, and I don't think there's any way around it.
And personally, my personal preference after years in the industry, I prefer to have factories servicing our main physical plant equipment. I know the technician's skills and knowledge and the parts availability is quicker, but sometimes it can be significantly higher in cost to have these folks do it. But where we can, we will continue to reach out for that to get the best service we can.
Great.
Madam Chair, I move the service bids be approved as presented for the 2019-2020 school year.
Did you second?
Yeah, second, I'm sorry.
All those in
Excuse
favor,
me, I
aye?
was thinking,
Aye. Now you can say aye.
aye. He's absolutely right. I've had a little experience in facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they find those things.
Motion carries, thank you. Acceptance of donation, Mr. Drescher.
As we often do, we have a community member that has made a donation. Ms. Wanda Miller made a donation of office supplies to Warren County Public Schools, and we happily spread the wealth among the schools, and we've given her a thank you letter, and we would like to accept those at the Board of Senators.
Like I said earlier, we live in a community that really supports us, and that's always nice. Would someone like to offer a motion?
I move that the donation of office supplies to Warren County Public Schools by Ms. Wanda Miller be accepted with gratitude.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the 2019-2020 health, dental, and vision insurance rates, Mr. Smith.
John Dick.
Thank you. Attached are the proposed health, vision, and dental insurance rates for the 2019-20 plan year. There was actually a slight decrease in rates from 1% to 3% as compared to the previous year rates. Eligible employees who enroll or re-enroll in the HSA, the high deductible health plan, during the division's open enrollment period will be eligible for an employer's paid contribution of $500 to their health savings account. There are no changes to the health coverage offered for the 2019-20 plan year. We have Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance, and an insurance plan includes health, dental, and vision. So I just ask this evening for your approval, and we will post these rates and then get the information out to our employees.
Anyone have any questions, discussion?
Just repeat that decrease again, please.
Yes, I will. But in the insurance world, it's very difficult to find these things. Traditionally, it's about a 5% increase annually for most things with insurance. But There was a slight 1% to 3% decrease. And you may say, well, why does it fluctuate? Why is it there just one exact amount? Because when you're giving your rates, and insurance companies are going to look at trend, and they're going to look at a period of time, and then they're going to look at how much you use it, and then they're going to look at each individual plan. So all of our plans went down, but some of those individual options within those plans went down perhaps 1%, and then some perhaps went down 3%, and some went down 2%. So, and we've been able to, that decrease, we've been able to take that to both the employer and the employee, where there will be a decrease that we will have to pay, and also that decrease will be for what the employee has to pay as well. So, because we make a contribution and they pay a premium, so when a decrease occurs, it's great for both sides, actually. And their rates go down, so that's helpful.
Is a lot of it also figured on the number and the amount of claims that come in the previous year?
Right. It's over a period of a time period that they'll go back and look to see what is your experience, how often are you using it. So, and the fortunate part to be in a pool with the local choice that we are is that they could draw upon some other claims as well to help you, or some other companies and clients and those type of things to be able to help you to absorb a larger blow. I know we've had one or two large increases in the last few years and those type of things, but actually it could have been worse because some of that was absorbed by having such a large group.
What was it last year?
It was about 19 or 20%, and we got it back down to about 5% of an increase for the employee. In the previous years, those years, it really wasn't an increase. It's a hit and miss type. And insurance companies really aren't designed to lose money, so therefore you pay
They
one way
missed
or the
that
other.
course in school.
What's that?
They missed that course
Yeah,
in
because
school.
the charity part didn't,
Yeah.
that wasn't part of the curriculum there, but
We good? Madam Chair, I move that the Warren County School Board approves the 2019-2020 health, vision, and dental insurance rates as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Smith. First reading of the May 2019 VSBA School Board Policy Updates. Mrs. Shepherd.
Thank you. It seems like I was just up here doing policies last month.
Yes.
In May 2019, VSBA submitted 59 policies for consideration by the Warren County School Board. A chart showing all the updated policies has been prepared by staff members noting the proposed changes. An additional 9 policies are presented for review but have no recommended revisions. As this is the first reading of the proposed changes, there will be an opportunity to discuss the changes at the June 19th work session. Final approval of the changes is scheduled for the July 3rd school board meeting. A couple of policies to highlight. Policy BBFA will have a direct impact on our school board members. This policy requires that every school board member must receive training conducted by the Ethics Council on the State and Local Government Conflict of Interest Act at least once every 2 years. This training will likely be offered online in the near future, but it will also be available at the VSBA Legislative Advocacy Conference September the 24th in Chesterfield. And then another new law that will impact our school board members is that our school board members are required to receive FOIA, Freedom of Information Act training, at least once every 2 years, and this will become effective July 1st of 2020. So if you'll, you may want to pay attention to those. It is likely going to be online. It is not there yet, but that is the likelihood, yes. And then several of the other policies were just combined or consolidated to avoid potential conflicts in the policies. Policy JEC allows military-connected students to enroll in the school and register for classes in which they will reside. Policy EB requires the chief law enforcement officer, fire chief, and the emergency management officer to review the school crisis plan. Those are a few that I wanted to highlight tonight. And we can talk about the policies more at the June work session. Be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
I didn't at this time, I still have to make it all
I
in
have
here.
reading still to do, so.
It's a lot of reading.
It is. Okay, stay where you are. Approval of paid school lunch meal prices for 2019-20.
Thank you. The Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010 requires school divisions participating in the National School Lunch Program to ensure sufficient funds are provided to account for meals served to students not eligible for free or reduced price meals. Schools charging less than $3 for paid lunch prices are required to adjust the full meal price to cover the difference. Warren County Public Schools' current lunch price for elementary students is $2 and $2.10 for middle and high school students. Based on the food services fund balance and the increased cost of food, we recommend increasing lunch prices by 10 cents for elementary, middle, and high school students. The recommended new lunch prices for the 2019-2020 school year would be $2.10 for elementary students and $2.20 for middle and high school students. This will be the first time school lunch prices have increased since the 2016-17 school year. The recommendation is to leave the breakfast price at $1.25. The last time the breakfast price was increased was the 2014-15 school year. E. Wilson Morrison Elementary School will continue in the Community Eligibility Program. There will be no charge for breakfast or lunch at E. Wilson Morrison for the 2019-2020 school year. One of the attachments to this agenda item is the price of surrounding school districts' lunch prices, and we are one of the lowest prices for our middle and high school. For our high school, middle school, Page County is 10 cents lower than we are, and for elementary, Page County is 10 cents lower than we are. But otherwise, we are second lowest lunch prices, and our breakfast prices are the lowest in our area, along with Page County and Shenandoah County.
What is the price for lunch for the reduced?
40 cents.
40 cents. And breakfast is?
School board members get discount.
No, you have to pay
Oh,
double,
shoot.
just because you eat so much.
Be happy to answer any questions.
No?
I don't have anything. I mean, we saw all this at the work session, and like Page County is the only one that's really a little bit less than us. I think our food service group does just a wonderful job.
They do a
I
fantastic
mean,
job. And I understand that Page County is increasing their meal prices as well, but I don't know that
the
officially,
process.
yes.
Someone like to offer a motion?
Madam Chair, I move approval be given to increase school lunch prices for the 2019-2020 school year by 10 cents to meet the requirements of the Healthy Hunger-Free Kid Act. The new lunch price will be $2.10 for elementary students and $2.20 for middle and high school students.
Your second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appointment of audit firm to conduct fiscal year 2019 school activity fund audit. Mr. Valentine.
Good evening. School Board Policy File DGC requires that school activity funds be audited at least once a year by a duly qualified accountant or accounting firm. The policy also states that the type of engagement, whether it be an audit, an examination, or a review, and that the accountant, accounting firm, or internal auditor shall be approved by you, the school board. So I come to you this evening asking that you approve the firm of Robinson, Farmer, Cox and Associates to conduct the annual audit of our school activity funds. They have conducted this audit for a number of years. They are also the firm that does the county's comprehensive audit, of which the school system is a part of, and we will be audited by. So the cost this year is $10,500. A couple years ago, last year we had to add in an additional activity fund with the new middle school. So we actually have 10 funds, counting Blue Ridge Tech, that are audited by this firm. They come typically the third week of August, or not August, the third week of July, and they spend pretty much the entire week here with auditors at the different schools going around working with the bookkeepers there, as well as the principals and those in charge of the funds there. And then we'll present a report to us in usually August, which we share with you for your consideration in September. So we're glad to answer any questions and would respectfully ask that you do approve them as our audit firm.
Yeah, I'll be glad to make a motion. Just, Mr. Valentine, would you just take a second to explain what the school activities funds are?
Yes.
Just because we seem to be in an era when
It's a term that we use, yes.
audits and things like that are of
Sure.
concern.
Well, each school, in addition to the funds that are appropriated by the Board of Supervisors to the school board, and then that the school board appropriates to the different schools and departments for the operation of the schools, each school has what's considered or is called a school activity fund, and this is sanctioned in the Code of Virginia and is a fund that schools have available that's under the supervision of the principal of the school, and they collect money from a number of sources and use it for school-related support items. And I'm sure if you talk to any school, they would tell you without these funds, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, for them to do the things that they do. The source of the funds can come from anything from at the secondary, at the high school level in particular, athletic events, gate receipts, things like that, parking for students, and particularly at the elementary school, they may have fundraisers or things like that, but also when the students have their pictures taken and things like that, that's somewhat of a fundraiser for the school, and they have various means like that where they will actually receive the money, and then it is managed by a bookkeeper at the school and the principal who signs, the two of them sign all the checks and pays for just a number of things that without these funds it would be very difficult, I think, for the schools to operate and do the things they do. When they have field trips, they take in the money that they collect from the students for the field trips and then pay for the field trips from the school activity fund and things like that.
That being said, I move that the firm of Robinson, Farmer, Cox Associates be selected as the firm to conduct the fiscal year 2019 school activity funds audit at a cost of $10,500, and the chairman and the director of finance be authorized to sign the letter of engagement.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Award contract for 2019-2020 finance software support. Mr. Valentine.
Okay, this is another item that we do on an annual basis that we come to you in June to ask that you award the contract for our finance software system that we use, and we have used the same system since the early 1990s. Now, it has advanced light years since then, I am sure. It certainly has in the last 19 years that I'm more intimately familiar with it. But we use a software from a company called RDA originally, and now they're known as OpenRDA. And the software was originally provided to us at no cost when the state went to a new accounting system, coding system, back in the early 90s. Since then, the support and training on the use of the program has been paid for us each year. It's considered an open source software, so you can get the software made available to you at no cost. But the catch is, of course, you need to understand how to use it, update it, maintain it, and when you get into problems, someone to turn to. And that's where this company makes their money and makes their living. They develop the software and then provide the support for it. So based on that, they are a single source provider. There's no one else that's able to do that for us. So from a procurement standpoint, we look at them as a single source supplier. And there's rarely a week, and I say rarely a week, I don't think there is a week that we don't call them, and there's rarely a day that we don't call them, maybe multiple times, to help just with anything that's involved. And there's so many things that are changing. Our VRS system is constantly changing with new plans and new things, and they're the ones that keep everything updated for us. Tax laws change, keep our tax tables updated, and all those type of things. And then when we do have problems, they work us through them. So would ask that you go ahead and authorize the awarding of the contract for this coming year in the amount of $48,347.83 for the support of this software.
Need a motion?
Is there any discussion on the budget?
I have none.
I don't know where they come up with 83 cents, but.
Yeah.
That's one of those computers. Madam Chair, I move that Open RDA be awarded a contract in the amount of $48,347.83 for support of the finance software system for the 2019-2020 fiscal year.
You want to repeat the amount for me?
$48,347.83.
Okay, great. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it again, just make one comment that because the state and the federal government require reporting in a certain format and they require, and like you say, VRS and that kind of thing, this isn't something to forestall any critics. This isn't something we can do with QuickBooks. This isn't something we can do just with a good calculator and a piece of paper. It's a certain format you have to answer these questions, and you have to fill this stuff in a certain format. So with that, I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you.
I got laughing. I was thinking of Robbie here is Open RDA, or he's our R2D2 guy.
Okay. Award property, liability, auto, and workers' compensation insurances for fiscal year 2019-20. Mr. Ballantyne.
And this is another annual thing we come to you in June and ask you to do. Certainly we are required, and it's prudent to have insurance to cover us in a variety of areas, from the property to liability to automobiles to workers' comp, all these different areas. And since July of 2004, we have participated in and been insured by the Virginia Association of Counties Group Self-Insurance Risk Pool. It's known as VACOR. This is the same insurer that our county uses, and I've attached a 19-year history of our rates, and as you can see from that, they've been pretty steady. Certainly this year, going into next year, there is not much of an increase, and in fact there is a decrease on our workers' comp insurance. We had some years, and they go back I think 3 to 5 years, and look at your average to project what your rate will be, similar to the way Mr. Smith talked about our health insurance. And we've had some years that we've had some rather large and numerous claims, and in working with them, I think I've come up with some programs and plans and things that they've implemented, we've implemented and used, that has significantly reduced that. So we're starting to see the benefits of that, and that has allowed our rates to come down on the workers' comp area. But I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have about any of those insurances, and ask that you do approve us continuing to participate in this self-insured risk pool for the coming year.
Does this cover directors and officers?
It does, yes. There's a leader's liability insurance coverage that's in there that covers leaders and those folks, yes, directors.
Okay.
discussion or questions?
I move that property, liability, student accident, auto, cyber risk, and workman's compensation insurance for 2019-2020 be renewed as recommended through the Virginia Association of Counties Group Self-Insurance Risk Pool as outlined in their proposal.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Valentine, additional appropriation request.
Yes, and finally, this is somewhat of a housekeeping item also in that as we draw near to the end of our fiscal year, which will be June 30th, we are aware that we're going to receive some unanticipated and some unbudgeted revenue. And in order to legally receive that and spend that in this year, we need the approval of the Board of Supervisors through an additional appropriation. So we're asking that you would approve tonight that we request from the Board of Supervisors approval to increase our operating fund budget by that $43,000. There should be an attachment there that lists the different areas that those grants and things come from, but we'll be glad to answer any questions you might have about this request.
Any questions? Someone like to offer a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that Warren County Board of Supervisors be requested to increase the school board's fiscal year 2018-2019 operating fund budget by $43,000.
Any second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Presentation of Title 1, 2, 3, and 4 grant applications. Ms. Richardson.
Good evening. The Title I Part A, Title II Part A, Title III Part A, and Title IV Part A applications seek federal funding to improve basic instructional programs, teacher and principal training and recruiting, support for language instruction for our English learners, summer enrichment programs for at-risk students, and technology training for teachers. We propose to use the funding from each of these grants in a variety of ways. This evening, I just wanted to present this information to you. The grants are pretty lengthy, so a motion won't be necessary this evening. I'll bring these back before you at the June 19th work session so that you have some time to digest everything that's there. But I just wanted to highlight a few of the things that we do use these particular funds for. The Title I Part A grant is in the amount of $941,800.71. All of the amounts that I'm presenting you with this evening are based on last year's amounts, and that's what the state has us base our budget on for the coming year. We don't generally find out until around September what our actual funding will be, but the assurances are that we will be funded in a very similar rate than we have been this past year. So for Title I funds, they support our school-wide plans at 4 of our 5 elementary schools. We employ 4 Title I literacy coaches and 2 math coaches at some of our elementary schools. We employ 6 instructional assistants across the elementary schools, and our coordinator, Donna Boyce, and then a portion of Donna Strickler's salary as well comes from that for administrative duties that she performs with these grants. We use these funds to provide tutors and summer programs, family engagement activities. We purchase materials and supplies with those, professional development. There are some funds set aside for the education of our homeless children, and then a variety of remediation programs. So that is just a sampling of what we use those funds for from Title I. Title II is for teacher and principal training and recruiting. That grant is in the amount of $166,407.94. It is used to help with class size reduction at the elementary level. So we actually pay for a couple of elementary school teachers to make class sizes more manageable at those grade levels. There is funding that is set aside for private schools and the professional development of their teachers. We participate with the Lord Fairfax Consortium, which again is professional development for our teachers. We use Title II funds to participate in that. As far as Title III funds go, that is for our English learners. And those funds are in the amount of $14,671.26. And that is used primarily for the professional development of our teachers working with our English learners, some materials and instructional resources for our English language teachers, and then for parent outreach, so some translation, things like that, that we're able to work with. Then finally, our Title IV Part A, which is a newer grant in the amount of $66,484.56. And that is a significant increase in funding that we received. The first year that we received the Title IV funding, it was in around the amount of $29,000. So we've received quite a bit more funding through this grant, and we're excited that this particular grant allows us some more flexibility than some of the others do in providing well-rounded programs for our students. This is where our summer enrichment program for the 4th and 5th grade students at E. Wilson Morrison and Russie Jeffries, it is funded by this particular grant. We're also going to be using some of those funds for professional development for our teachers with the one-to-one Chromebooks with students, using those most effectively. Our positive behavior intervention support in our schools. And then again, this grant also, money is set aside specifically for use for the private schools there. Do you have any questions?
I don't. Anyone else? So you'll have more information for us?
We'll have, all of the grants are attached here, all of the assurances. There are things that you have available to read at your pleasure for the next couple of weeks. If you have any questions about any of the 4 grants, please feel free to reach out to me and I can answer your questions if they might require any research on my part before we come to the June 19th meeting where we will ask for your approval too.
You said they were attached here?
They sure.
It's not letting me.
All the way to the bottom.
Under administrative content.
Right here.
Well, yours not so.
No, it's not, no, mine's not. That is.
Well, we can definitely get those to you with no problem. Okay. And because there is bunches of stuff there for you to take a look at.
This might be a silly question, but of our total budget to run the system, roughly 53 million, how much of that is, what percentage of that money is grants?
Probably Mr. Valentine would be able to answer that more closely than I would.
It's right around 5% or so.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is, on a percentage basis sounds small. On a dollar basis, it's critical to what we do. If we did not have that, again, we'd be.
So that's why we need to keep grant writers.
Yes.
Could you resend me that because the
Sure.
schedules aren't showing up on mine for some reason. Mr. Williams even checked for me because I'm sort of. It's not on there. Okay, thank you. Stay where you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Approval of expenditure over $15,000 for the purchase of Unified Talent Professional Learning Management System in the amount of $21,935.
Okay, we would like to request the purchase of Unified Talent Learning Management System in the amount of $21,935. Unified Talent is affiliated with PowerSchool and links to our current student and staff information system, making the manipulation of data less labor-intensive than our current professional learning management system, which you may have heard us refer to as My Learning Plan. Unified Talent houses staff professional development offerings, keeps track of professional staff's licensure renewal points, and provides a mechanism through which professional development can be approved toward relicensure efforts. $14,050 of the initial cost of this program goes toward the setup, the implementation, and the training, which are all one-time costs. Moving to Unified Talent will save the school division approximately $6,000 per year as compared to our current professional learning management system being used. So while the initial cost this time is $21,935, from here on out, that will be reduced by $14,050. We currently pay about $12,000 per year for My Learning Plan that we're currently using. So that'll go down to about a $6,000 cost per year.
Ms. Rudisill.
Yes.
I'm sure you've used this somewhere else. You've seen this in operation.
We have had several sessions with the Unified Talent people where they've gone through the program with us.
What other school systems are they in?
Well, I do not know which school systems are specifically using the Unified Talent portion, but Pearson Products, which this falls under the umbrella of Pearson Products, Pearson is pretty much has their fingers in just about everything that we use. So because it is a Pearson product, then it communicates with our current system of PowerSchool. So right now with My Learning Plan, Mrs. Strickler inputs by hand every new staff member that comes in, puts them into the system and their information into the system so that they're able to use My Learning Plan. And in the same regard, any staff members leaving, because all of our staff, so teachers, assistants, all of our staff is in our professional development system. So any staff leaving, she manually takes those individuals out of the current program as well. With Unified Talent, she will not have to do that. This system will communicate with our staff information system and it will be updated nightly, so all staff leaving will automatically be taken out of the system and all new staff will automatically go into the system.
So the $6,000 in savings is just the cost savings, not counting the
Yes.
Strickler.
Not counting Ms. Strickler, which when we go into all that she does for me would be into the millions of dollars.
She will still have her job, this won't take her job.
Yes, this will not take her job.
But she can be a lot more useful in another direction.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
And that works for PowerSchool,
Yes.
everything else?
And-
What's the other one, Plastic Dojo?
Okay, that one's separate.
Okay. Everybody goes together.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, all of the products, the large products like with PowerSchool Assessment, which is now Performance Matters, but still Pearson Products, PowerSchool, Power Teacher, all of those products all communicate with one another, so it makes the manipulation of any of that data much simpler on our ends.
thank you.
How long is the software good for? A couple of years, 3 years?
You know, we've been using My Learning Plan since before I came to central office. So for a good 10 or 12 years, that system has been in place for us. So they don't.
I can answer that, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr.
It's
Green.
online, so
Computer.
they update it online, it's all web-based. So it's not like a disk now, back in the old days where you stuck it in and then that software went out of date. This
Right.
constantly gets updated, and that's how My Learning Plan was, as well as PowerSchool and the other software that we use that's online.
I got some of those discs at home with me, they're still good.
Yeah, no.
No, they're not.
Wrong way.
Shred those.
Okay. Need a motion?
All right. Are there any other questions or
No.
discussion? Okay, sure.
Madam Chair, I move, excuse me, that approval be given to purchase Unified Talent Learning Management System in the amount of $21,935.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Rudisill. Is there any further business?
Yeah. Okay. Ms. Fox, if I could put you on the spot for just a minute. What are we doing this summer, food-wise? I don't want to steal your thunder if you were going to present this at another meeting, but since we are at the end of the school year, maybe to give folks an idea.
I'm very happy to talk about it. I'm really excited. The summer program is going to expand this year, so we have removed one site that we really didn't have any participation, but we've added 2 sites that we expect to serve anywhere from 50 to an additional 100 kids. We also have partnered with the backpack program, and on Thursdays we'll be delivering backpacks to students that get meals on Thursday. To really help increase the number of students participating in getting backpacks, we've also added hot meals 2 days a week, Thursday being one of those. Chicken patty sandwiches are a favorite, so we made that Thursday. So we hope to entice them to come and get their backpacks so they'll have food over the weekends. So there'll be 7 sites, 6 delivered sites, including the 2 new sites, Bricklow homes up on by the Heritage Hall, and then also the church in the middle of, over by 15th Street, so that we can kind of hit some areas that we weren't getting last year and identify it as maybe areas where there'd be a concentration of students. So it's pretty exciting. And then we also are going to be serving the program at Rusty Jeffries, and we also will have students be able to come inside if the weather is bad. One additional adjustment for this year's program is that students have to have somewhere that they can sit down and eat, and we actually have to stay with them until they finish. So last year, we could give them their meals and they could go back into their apartments or houses or wherever we've delivered. This year, they have to eat and we have to see the kids eating. So we have purchased pop-up tents that if the weather's inclement or if it's particularly sunny, and blankets that they can sit down and eat and possibly enjoy some company while they eat as well. So we really hope to increase the number of students eating, and we're very excited to again be serving at E. Wilson as well.
Why the change that they have to eat there?
It actually was supposed to probably be done last year, but it wasn't something that was mandated or that we were aware of, that we weren't told that we had to, but this year it is mandated. They really have increased, they want people to make sure that the kids are eating the meals.
Yeah, we want to make sure kids get the meals.
Yeah.
And no
Well, I
one
was wondering that because I had heard rumor that, some of the older siblings were taking food from younger ones.
And older siblings are more than welcome to come down and have meals. If you're 18 or younger, there's no qualification. So if an older sibling is hungry, if they would just walk out with their younger sibling, we would be more than happy to give them a meal as well.
So how many backpacks do you think?
Well, we're going to see what our numbers are on the first few days and hope to deliver at the end of that week. I'm thinking 100 to 150. It could be more.
And if people want to donate food for the backpack program, who do they contact?
There was one food drive already at Walmart, so we have collected some food. They are more than welcome to contact the food service office, or or they could contact someone at E. Wilson Morrison if they're interested during the day contacting someone. My office would probably be the best place though, and that would be 631-0040, extension 2, 3, or 4.
Is there anything ever put on Facebook or social media about food drives?
There was a food drive, the one that was done at Walmart was put on Facebook and What's Up Front Royal, and then we just actually received our approval today for all the sites that we asked for. So the team has been really working hard to get that information out. We're going to have flyers everywhere. It's really kind of interesting. Last year they approved everything so late that we weren't able to be part of this larger, there's a kind of a 1-800 number that you can text that tells you all the sites that you can receive free meals. So we have little tents that can go in all the sites that we're serving at, and we're going to be putting them everywhere. But it'll tell you what all the sites are where you can receive a free meal.
Good stuff happening in the
We're very excited, and thank you for asking that question.
Thank you.
Any further business? Meeting adjourned.